Hey, welcome to the Carlos Whittaker podcast. It is June 20th, 2024. This is episode 24 of the Carlos Whittaker podcast. And I got one single question for you. Y'all ready for this? Come on. Hey. Like, I wonder how many of you guys that are watching on YouTube, like, are doing this with me. Do you guys move as much as I do in the intro? Watch this. Oh. Yep. You need to be on YouTube to enjoy that one. Oh, man. 1994 Carlos would be proud that I still got it. Welcome to the Carlos Whittaker podcast. And I'm just encouraging myself today because nobody on the other side of the camera is going to encourage me. This is not true. I actually have a guest on today's episode of the podcast that is going to not only encourage me, but encourage you and teach you the art of encouragement. His name is Jordan Montgomery, and he's become a really close friend of mine. I'm loving what he's doing as we fade out Dr. Delight. Jordan is our guest today. But before we hop into what I believe could quite honestly change your life, I mean, legitimately, what the truth bombs that he drops all over this podcast were something special. But what I want to let you know is that I am currently, as you're listening to this or watching this, on my way to Tanzania. Tanzania, right? Is that how you spell it? And I'm going to, whenever I go overseas, I either go with ICM or with Compassion. And I just love to go, and I love to show you around. So if you want to hop over to my Insta stories the next few days, trust me, you're not going to want to miss the beauty and the chaos and all of the exhaustion that is going to be Carlos at 50, almost 51. I mean, it's June 19th, July, August, September. Wow. Is that why my back hurts so bad? Anyway, you're not going to want to miss the stories. It's Heather and myself are going, and we get to go just show off the work of Compassion. It's going to be amazing. So hop on over to my Insta stories, and then I'm going from there to Italy, and we're gonna hang out in Italy with our friends the Sealeys for a week. Then we're going from Europe I'll be gone 2 weeks at this point, to Northern Michigan. And here's the thing, maybe I'll do a whole Northern Michigan podcast. Everybody talks about Northern Michigan and the lakes and just how beautiful. I've never been there. So when I had a friend of mine say, hey, we've got a house on a lake in Northern Michigan, Heather and I were like, let's just kind of end our 3-week sabbatical going there. So that is where we're going. The next 3 weeks, I will be taking you with me. Podcast is still going to be going. I'm still going to be Instagramming, but I'm just going to be doing it from different parts of the planet. And I've got to pack for the entire 3 weeks in a freaking carry-on suitcase. One suitcase. That's all I get in a backpack. But one carry-on. I can't even check it because there's too many of us landing. All the kids are getting there at different times, landing in Italy, and we don't have a car big enough for everyone to have a check bag. So we've just got to do some laundry. That's what we're going to do. Okay, enough of the future plans. Let's talk about the current plans. We have my great friend, as I said, Jordan Montgomery. Jordan owns Montgomery Companies, which is devoted to leadership and organizational health. Okay, we are starting a few podcasts on leadership. They may come concurrently in a row. We may take a gap week. But I just want to talk about leadership. The more and more that I speak in the corporate space, in the corporate sector, the more I realize that I've got something to say, and that a lot of you are in leadership capacities in some way, shape, or form where you're at. And so let's talk a little bit leadership wise. And what I love about Jordan is he's going to be talking about his brand new book, The Art of Encouragement. The Art of Encouragement. Jordan is a small town kid, Iowa kid. Literally, y'all know I love the Amish. He grew up in the largest Amish community west of the Mississippi. So Jordan, like I'm loving the Amish angle here. And you know, he gets into some great stuff. What is like the actual art of encouragement? Do you think it's an art? He's going to unpack it all. We'll come back on the back end. But what I want you to do right now is just help me welcome. I don't know how when I say help me welcome, what does that mean? Like, do you like give a round of applause from your car? Like what, How do you do that? Do you say, welcome, Jordan? I don't know what happens on the other side of your phone or however you're listening to this, but however you do it, will you please help me welcome your new favorite encourager, Jordan Montgomery. Okay, Carlos Whittaker Podcast Familia. I am sitting with Jordan Montgomery. Jordan, bro, let me just go and tell you, like, before you even start talking and before people are seeing your beautiful ears and your smile on YouTube right now and all the places that they can see your face, you are legitimately one of, like, the kindest, most encouraging humans that I know. It just kind of oozes out of you. And I've been freaking looking forward to just catching up and having this conversation with you. So thanks for being here, man.
Bro, thank you for having me, man. And from a world-class encourager, I will receive that as a great compliment. You are one of the most abundant, positive, caring people that I know. I shared this with you recently. We were in Orlando. Bro, You have mastered the art of the 90-second window. Your ability to encourage and spread joy in 90 seconds or less. Now, you can do it long form too. I just think it's really hard to do it short form in an authentic way. And you're doing it about as well as anybody I've ever met, maybe as well as anybody on the planet. So, bro, I love following you on social. More importantly, love being your friend. And I'm honored to share the conversation with you today.
Oh, it's going to be good. I appreciate that. When you told me that, no one had ever really kind of told me that. And I did start unpacking that a little bit, going like, well, I feel like because I am talking to my phone every single day, like I kind of have to, like I've got to figure out these 90-second stories, right? Like it's about as long as people have to give you. 90 seconds, maybe even too long now, like 90 seconds, maybe even way too much time for people to even devote. So, I do feel like we've got to get it, you got to get it right from the punch, right from Jump Street.
Well, it's like, man, you better become relevant quickly in today's world with short attention spans, a lot of distraction, So
no, absolutely.
You figured it out, man. Keep doing it.
Thank you, buddy. Let's do this. Let's kind of start for everybody. Maybe some people don't know kind of who Jordan is. I gave a quick little summary before we hopped into the interview for my listeners on the show, but I would love for you to explain, like you're on an airplane and you plop down next to somebody and that person goes, hey man, my name's Anna, where are you heading? And you're like, oh, I'm heading here. And then they look at you and go, so what do you do? Like what's the answer that you give on the airplane?
Yeah, I would say if somebody asked me that question, I would say I'm a coach and a speaker, and I would leave it short form. But behind that or bigger than that, which I think is what you're really getting to, is we own a company, Montgomery Companies, which is a company devoted to leadership development and organizational health. And so when I coach and speak, I get to speak about those topics to people around the world, which I love. And God's just opened doors for us to do that work continuously. And I'm not sure why or how. The reality is, man, I'm a small town Iowa kid. I grew up in the cornfields of Iowa. My claim to fame is I am from the largest Amish community west of the Mississippi. So shout out to the Amish. I know those are your people. You spent some time with them recently.
Those are my people.
So that's me, man. Blue collar background. Always had a love for people. Grew up a believer, knew Jesus, but didn't necessarily follow Jesus. Had a crazy event in my life at 27 years old that changed everything. And God just met me in that place. So that's the short story, man, about, I guess, what I do or who I am.
No, that's amazing. When you say you're give me those two words again that you say on an airplane. You're an author and speaker.
I would say coach and speaker, but you know what? Now I get to say author. We just put this book out,
bro.
Right? So man. Right. So I'm going to start. I'm just telling people, hey, I'm an author. I'm going to start. That's a new.
You just start doing that, bro. You are legitimately an author. When this podcast airs, people can either pre-order or order it. I'm going to try to get it as close to the moment that this thing launches, because and I'm going to get more into the meat of what the book is. But tell everybody what your new book is actually called.
The Art of Encouragement is the title of the new book. And, bro, you were kind enough to endorse it. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Your endorsement. Yeah. And we just believe that God's going to use it to reach and touch people. And I wouldn't say it's overtly Christian, but I mean, it's filled with scripture
Sure.
and God's promises. And so whether you're a believer or not believer, it's for you. I think encouragement is a universal language that the whole world understands. And so regardless of where you come from or who you are, our hope is that it would bless you.
Absolutely. The art of encouragement. Tell me this. A lot of people, they look at me and they look at what I do. And, I would say that, it's probably 70 or 60% of what I do, I'm speaking to like non-faith spaces. And then the 40 to 30% I'm speaking to faith spaces. And you are actually a great representation, an example of somebody that, you're in the corporate space. You are talking to people that may have different, religious beliefs than you, that may have different ideas as to what, life is supposed to look like than you. Like, how do you, walk the line of being a follower of Jesus, but also being able to communicate to people that maybe don't even want to hear about that?
Well, I think, man, Jesus just came to love people, and so I think our primary mission is to love. And I think when you love people, it means you meet them where they are at. And so
that's good.
Jesus was the best at this. He was a great question asker. He was compassionate. He was gracious. And so I think there is a fine line, and we could break that down or jam on it. But, I think there's a lot of nuance that goes into that, but more than anything, there's trust that goes into it that, hey, God, you will do the real work of equipping and teaching, and you'll give me the words, and you'll also give me the wisdom and discernment to know when I can be really open and when I need to be a little more thoughtful based on the person or the people that I'm speaking to.
Yeah. The, encouragement, as you said, isn't necessarily just a Christian thing, right? Like everybody on planet Earth is going to feel the need on a daily basis to be encouraged. And, it's funny. If I literally, and I'm just going to do it right now. I'm going to open up this is literally fly by the seat of my pants. This is just kind of how I do things, on my podcast, but I'm going to actually pull up, like our text strand, just mine and Jordan's like text messages, whatever. And this is not an exaggeration. I'm just going through, May, a couple, April, a couple, March, a couple, February. Literally, you just either send me a voice memos or you type out just encouraging, Carlos, thinking about you, man. Like, you're just doing so great. You're going for it. Like, this is not normal. Okay. This is as far as like normalcy in my text messages, my kids are just asking me for Venmo requests or they're, and I get from you encouragement. I get from you something. And so this isn't something that you're just like, hey, like, I'm going to write a book about this. This is something that you try to live out, on a daily basis. So let's start here. What is it about encouragement that you feel like is so necessary to live out the way that you're trying? Because I'm sure you have to still try to do it. It's not like breathing, like that's why you call it an art, right? Because you've got to get better. So start unpacking the necessity for encouragement, our encouragement to other people, the way that you do it to so many.
I think I'll bring it back to the reason we wrote the book. I keep getting that question is like, why did you choose the topic of encouragement to write about? And there's really two reasons, Carlos, that we chose to write about the topic of encouragement. Number one is I think it speaks to our most basic psychological need as humans, which is the need to feel known and seen, valued and understood. And so, man, I want to help people with that. I know what it feels like to feel that way, especially in times where I've been struggling or I've been broken. Like, man, I've had people be radically generous with me and help me to feel noticed and known and seen and valued. So that's one. I think encouragement helps with that, speaks to that. I think it's a universal language that the whole world understands. And so if we can speak it and understand the art and science of it, I think we can reach people in a deeper way. Number two, though, Carlos, I think we overestimate our abilities to make people feel that way. And I really value working with executive leaders, especially in a corporate space, that are running really fast and running hard, and they're super talented. And oftentimes they're gifted at leading and speaking and training and teaching, but they're making too many assumptions, just like I've made so many assumptions, that people are feeling seen in my presence or known in my presence. And what we're finding as we talk to the teams and the cultures that work around these leaders and with these leaders is that they're missing it. And so, so two things. One is the world needs it. I want to help people to feel known, seen, valued, and understood. Number two is I think we overestimate our ability to do that. Too often we view encouragement as something we either do or don't do instead of viewing it like an art and a science. And I'll say this, Carlos, if you get around somebody who is a world-class encourager, like Carlos Whittaker.
Oh, get out.
Or like Brad Lomenick. Or like John Gordon, so many mutual friends that we have, or David Nurse. Like, there's an art and a science to it, man. There's nuance. Like, there's intentionality. There's incredible effort and energy and specificity that goes into encouraging the heart of other people. And so, man, a little bit of a backdrop on what encouragement means to me, and then a little bit about why we decided to write the book.
I'll never forget the first time that I saw my Instafamilia, my Instagram followers, come together and fundraise, give money towards somebody in need through GoFundMe. It was a few years ago when somebody actually was trying to raise money that follows me on Instagram for a seizure alert dog. And I will never forget the rapid response and the incredible response that the Instagram community came together and supported this individual with. And they were able to do that because GoFundMe has been the leading fundraising platform and most trusted fundraising platform for many, many years. Research shows that people actually love it and they like it when you ask for help. So listen, when the time comes, GoFundMe is the most trusted place to raise funds, and it's a lot easier than you think. It only takes a few minutes. So listen to this. You can get your fundraiser up and running in just a few steps. They've got everything you need to help your fundraiser succeed. They've got tips, resources, tools to help all along the way. And with a community of 150 million people, GoFundMe is the leader in fundraising. Plus, you can withdraw your funds, this is huge, at any time, even if you don't reach your goal. So the next time you need help, whether it's for, I don't know, like a sports team, a small business, communal events, whatever it is, just tap on the green start button on GoFundMe. It's free to start, free to manage, and designed to help you reach your goals. So start your fundraiser today through my special URL, gofundme.com/Carlos. As one of our listeners, you will get a free coaching session with a GoFundMe expert, whether you're starting a fundraiser today or later down the line. That is huge. Start today at gofundme.com/Carlos. That's gofundme.com/Carlos. It's time now to talk about my favorite children's vitamins, Hiya. Hiya is the children's vitamin that is backed by pediatricians, and it does not have any sugar inside of it, right? Most children's vitamins are filled with two, not one, but 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, and other gummy junk that growing kids should never eat. That is legitimately why Hiya was created. So Hiya fills in the most common gaps in modern children's diets to provide the full nourishment our kids need with a yummy taste that they love. Formulated with the help of nutritional experts, Hiya is pressed with a blend of 12 fruits and veggies and then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals. Hiya is designed for kids of all ages and sent straight to your door so parents have one less thing to worry about. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamins. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/humanhope. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hiyahealth.com/humanhope to get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Encouragement is the way, and I endorse the book, and when I was reading it, the way that you break it down into I mean, you really have. I want to say maybe there was like 8 or 10. I can't remember exactly how many there were, but they were like 8 to 10 like practical guides for each like version. You don't have to give us all 10, but can you give us, again, as the listeners listening right now going like, yeah, you know what? Like I I don't know if I do this on purpose. Like, I think a lot of us accidentally encourage people. And when we accidentally encourage people, we're like, oh my gosh, like, look at that, pat yourself on the back. It's like, that was cool. That felt great for me. I bet it felt like twice as good for them. But you have to do it on purpose. You can't accidentally do it every single day. So give us some of these kind of practical mile markers, or, because it's kind of a guide is really what it is. So guide us a little bit on what the art looks like.
Yeah, so we could jam on this for a minute. I'll tell you about a few of the arts, a few chapters in the book that we wrote about. One would be the art of character encouragement. We have a culture today that values charisma, maybe overvalues charisma and undervalues character. In other words, we're obsessed with the result. We're not as obsessed with the traits or the abilities. And so, man, I just want to be an encourager who values who someone is before I value what that person does.
Yes, that's good.
And I think because we value too much so often, like we value what somebody does, is it creates identity issues. And we see this often with athletes. Matter of fact, we have an athlete client close to max contract status in the NFL, one of the NFL guys that we work with. And man, he's been a high-level football player his whole life. And some of his identity has been attached to that, right? I mean, that's a natural thing.
Yeah.
But he called me a couple years ago. He's like, man, I'm just sideways. Usually during the season, I stay away from this stuff, but I bumped into an article. And man, this article just kind of talked about how my best days are behind me. You know, like I'm not the same player I used to be. I don't have the same skip in my step. And he's like, man, I just am not sure I'm the same guy I used to be. And it was like, I could tell, man, he was hurting. Like he was really sideways. Yeah. And it wasn't just affecting his ability to play football, man. It was affecting his ability to parent and lead and communicate and build relationships. And so, so we had to kind of talk through that. Right. And I just said, hey man, listen, you're really gifted and talented. And I'm proud of what you've done on the field, man. 5-time Pro Bowler. You know, you're going to make $200 million playing a game of football. You're a team captain. You're a consensus All-American college first round draft pick. Man, like you have so much to be proud of. Like you've done so much and that's awesome. But man, let me share this with you, brother. The reason I love you, what I value about you is your discernment and your intuition. Like, man, you read people unlike anyone I've ever been around, man. You just have a heart for people. You know what people need and what they want. And because of that, you've been able to lead at such a high level in your community, in the church, in the locker room, in your family. And like, bro, I just believe it's who you are that's allowed you to do what you do. And I could say the same thing to you, Carlos, too, right? It's like, oh, Carlos, man, you're speaking and you're influencing and you had this amazing Insta Familia and all these followers. And like, just, I'm so impressed with what you built and the Brandon Lake, Phil Wickham tour. And bro, keep crushing it. And I'm proud of you for doing all those things, man. I am. Like, that's part of what you've done. And it's amazing. Yeah. But it doesn't have anything to do with who you are unless I attach it to who you are. Right. And so I want to lead with like, hey, bro, your ability to light people up, like the magic of the 90-second window that we just talked about. Like offline, we were talking about your ability to reach people in 90 seconds. You do it unlike anybody I've ever met. And I think some of that is, again, intuition, discernment. You have an ability to connect with people. God gave you that gift. It's supernatural to you. Most people don't have it, and you do, and you have it in spades. And it's that gift that you have, Carlos Whittaker. It's who you are that allows you to do what you do. And I think if we ask the people listening, like go back to your childhood, think about the most encouraging conversations that you've ever had with another human being. My guess is had very little to do with what you did and had everything to do with who you are. And so that's just one art in the book. That's the art of character encouragement. We could talk about some of the other arts.
Well, can we talk about serving? That was one of the serving encouragement piece, I think, is that's something that if people even feel like, well, I don't know, Jordan, like, I just don't have the words like you. Like, the way you're encouraging this NFL Pro Bowl player, the way you're encouraging Carlos right now sounds like legitimately like you're a wordsmith. You can craft all these things together. And I think that it is important for you to highlight the serving aspect of what encouragement is. If somebody's like, I just don't know if I can find the right words. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. Because here's what happens when we listen to a podcast, and I do it too, or you watch a show, or you see somebody on social media, is you have a tendency to compare. Yep. And when you compare, our good friend Craig Rochelle, is it either makes you feel inferior or superior. And neither one of those feelings honors God, so don't compare. Right. The truest way I believe to encourage another human is to put that person first, to put their needs first. And so it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be eloquent. Yeah. In fact, you don't really even have to say anything to encourage the heart of another person.
True.
Our friend Bob Goff said, most people need love more than they need advice. We don't need to give them advice.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to have all the perfect words. We just got to love them. And, the word says Jesus came to serve, not to be served. And he was the most impactful leader to ever walk the planet. And oftentimes he said very little. Sometimes he said a lot, but oftentimes he said very little. So, man, I've had so many people in my life who've just been amazing at serving. I'll tell you what, my favorite type of person in the whole world, though, Carlos, is someone who takes responsibility outside the lane of their authority. And I'll give Andy Stanley credit because this is an Andy Stanley-ism. Andy was talking about honor and growing your influence. And he said, man, you really want to grow your influence, take responsibility outside the lane of your authority. In other words, be willing to clean up the mess that you did not make.
Yeah.
Be willing to jump in on the project that wasn't assigned to you.
Good.
We love people who operate like that, who with the spirit of service. And so the echo of that is that I guess you grow your influence and maybe God opens some doors. But the benefit of that is that you're going to reach and touch people in a completely different way. When somebody feels like, I don't understand, like Carlos, I'll be real with you for a second. Like, man, I don't understand why Carlos is being so radically generous to me, with me. I don't understand. I asked you to endorse our book, which is just a weird thing to have to ask anyway. Like the book, I'm like, hey man, I got this book coming out. Publisher says we need some endorsements. Bro, I respect you. Would you be willing to endorse it? Within like 10 minutes, man, you had sent back this like long, detailed, meaningful, thoughtful response. I don't know why you're generous, man, but you are. And that touched me and you served me in that moment. And so, thank you for taking responsibility outside the lane of your authority, doing things that you don't have to do, but doing it with a heart of service.
Well, Jordan, you're just so good at it. And here's the other thing. When somebody encourages you, you just want to encourage them back. And when, everybody feels that, right? And so like, I think that I'm starting to, just even unpack things in my brain as you're talking. And I'm like, okay, so someone's listening to this. And if they don't feel very encouraged by people in their life, why don't you be the first one? Why don't you go first? Why don't you start being the one that's going to be, I'm going to study the art of encouragement. I'm going to start encouraging people. I promise you that when you start encouraging some of these people, it's going to come bouncing right back, right? Like hurt people, free people, encouraging people, encourage people, like it just is something that I think, have you seen that? Have you seen, kind of this effect of it coming back to you?
Oh my goodness, yes. You think about this reciprocity principle. And again, not that we would do it for this reason, right?
Sure.
But it is true, man. Like the world's a looking glass, gives back to each person a reflection of their own image. That's just how it works. And so, man, you want to be more connected, start connecting. You want to be more encouraged, start encouraging. People want to be around those who see the good, who point out the good, who spread joy, who spread positivity. And there's somebody listening, Carlos, and here's what they're thinking. Yeah. But easy for you and Carlos to say because, things are going well for you, or you don't have any problems, or you get it, middle of the day, you get to jump on and record a podcast. Like I don't have the luxury of, or the ability to do that. Or, I want to acknowledge the fact that like, yes, we do get to do some of those things. And I'm fortunate. I don't deserve the ability to do this with you or write it. Like, yes. So I'm fortunate. There are some things that are going well. There are some things in my life that aren't going well, but here's the point.
Right.
I'm not positive because life is easy. I'm positive because life is difficult. I'm not encouraging people because everything is hunky dory and happy go lucky. I'm encouraging people because the world could be dark and cold and really, really difficult. And so, man, I want to be a light in the darkness. And, I think God's called us to be that for people.
That he has, and that is so good. That is the reason why. I mean, people are hurting. I just the other day or maybe it was yesterday on Instagram, 2 days ago, I just kind of asked people like, hey, what are you guys up to today? Because I kind of had nothing else to say. And I was like, well, I'll just put a question box up. And, thinking that it was going to be filled with, I'm mowing the grass and I'm this and that. Like, I'm reading through this simple question that I asked, Jordan, crying because people are like, yeah, I'm on the way for genetic testing at Vanderbilt because there's something wrong with me that I can't figure. My dad's got, cancer. We're heading to chemo treatment. My son is this. And by just asking people what they were doing, it gave me a glimpse as to, oh my gosh, people are going through hard things. So when you run across somebody, you don't even have to know the person to encourage the person. I think that's what's so beautiful about the art of encouragement is you can practice it at the grocery store, at the gas station, where on a walk, wherever you're at. And I think to myself, those are the most unexpected times of encouragement for somebody is when you encourage somebody that you don't know, when you encourage somebody, one of the things that I tell people a lot in some of my talks is I tell a story of going through TSA and knowing that a TSA agent probably is the least encouraged person. I'm using encouragement now because of this conversation, but they're just in the way of the traveler and their destination. They're literally a thing that people want to just kind of get past. So nobody looks them in the eyes. They're the enemy. And once I just remember going you know what? I'm just going to say this TSA officer's name. It was like Officer Fox or something. And I was like, Officer Fox, thank you for what you do. Just thank you. And I'm not even kidding. I think he almost started to cry because I just took a moment and encouraged him and I didn't even know him. Unpack that a little bit, encouraging people that maybe you're not even in a relationship with.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we could even have any more of this conversation without addressing what is really your secret sauce. You kind of spoke to it a little bit. And I've thought about this with Carlos Whittaker multiple times because it begs the question, what makes you so effective? We've talked about the 90-second window and you're talking about the Insta Familia. And so what it really is at its core, what it really is, I think, is the art of authentic encouragement.
Yeah.
And part of what makes you powerful in the world today, Carlos, is you're willing to share the hard stuff in a real and authentic way and in a variety of sort of directions, right? Like your dad's journey, with memory loss and his illness and dementia and how that's impacted you and your family and your relationship. And you put that on display for people. I love how you very authentically shared about your daughter getting married and the fact that that was actually really hard for you. And even though you're proud, that's really hard for dad to see his baby girl, transition into that next stage of life. And so here's what's happening. People can be impressed with some other profile or some other page. They come to your page and they go, man, I can identify with that.
Right.
I can identify with it. I can be impressed with your strengths. I connect to you through your weakness. And brother, I think you just have a heart for people like the TSA agent, man. It's being able to look somebody in the eye and say, hey, I can relate to you. I can identify with you. I know what it's like to feel looked over or passed by or underappreciated. Yeah. And I want you to know, because what you're saying is I appreciate you, but what you're also saying is I can relate to you.
Yes.
I see
that's
you.
Good.
You
I
matter.
See you.
You bring value to this world. You have a role to play. Thanks for being you. Thanks for what you do. Craig said 4 words. You could probably this should be the subtitle of the book. 4 words. Really the art of encouragement's all about. I notice you matter. I notice you matter. That's what it is. And you are living that out. And so I love what you shared about. That'd be a great challenge for anybody listening is to find the most underappreciated person.
Yes.
You don't even have to know them. TSA agent, such a great example of that. And man, just let them know that you see them and they matter.
Did you know that Americans spend 90% of their time indoors and take about 20,000 breaths a day? That's a lot of breathing. And the indoor air that we breathe is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. And in some cases, up to 100 times more polluted. That is crazy. So what in the world is the solution? Do we just hold our breath all day long? Of course not. Let me introduce you to an air purifier that has captured the attention of the entire country. It's called Air Doctor. And right now, as I record this message for you, upstairs behind my sofa is a quiet whisper of a hum of Air Doctor filtering the air in my home. Air Doctor filters out 99% of dangerous contaminants so your lungs don't have to. This includes pollutants such as allergens, pollen, pet dander, dust mites, mold spores, and even bacteria and viruses that make you sick. So here's the deal. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day breathe easy money back guarantee. So if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus the shipping. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code HumanHope. You'll receive up to $300 off air purifiers exclusive to podcast customers. You will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Lock in this special offer by going to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code HumanHope. Absolutely. No, I love that. I love that. Those 4 words. I mean, the subtitle of the book is already good, but yeah, you're right. Like, I think that is what we're really trying to get to. And the fact that you're speaking this message to CEOs, to, high capacity leaders just goes to show that this is actually not only important for people on a day-to-day stranger level, but this is actually important. Do you feel like encouragement can actually increase the bottom line of a company? Do you think encouragement can actually grow sales? Do you think encouragement can actually have objectively trackable data when, if you're not that that's why you're trying to do it, but do you think that encouragement actually does some of those things?
Yeah. So let's get practical. Harvard Business Review just released a study, and the study's fascinating. They interviewed 4,000 recent college graduates, all of whom had one thing in common. They took a job and then they quit within 12 months of graduating from college. Okay. Wow. Different industries, different backgrounds, different areas of expertise and degrees. They took a job and then they quit. And they asked these 4,000 recent college graduates, why did you take your job and quit within 12 months? 79% of them had the same leading answer.
Wow.
The answer was lack of appreciation.
Really?
What they were saying is, I don't feel seen. I don't feel known.
Yeah.
I don't feel understood. And so, I think when people don't feel that, they're going to find another place to feel that. For better or worse. And so, I think if we want to retain talent, attract talent, drive results, build meaningful relationships, bring out the best in people, then absolutely, this isn't just like the right way to live. I think it's actually a more profitable way to live and lead. I think it's a more joyous way to live and lead. And I think it's what God's called us to.
So good. This is so freaking good, man. I mean, I don't know why no one's written this book yet, but I think the reason why is because you were the perfect person to write it. It just oozes out of you. It trickles out of you. And I'm so proud that you've not only written it, but that you live it as well.
Well, what's funny, man, is I had somebody say this to me once. It said, and I was kind of giving them a compliment on their ability to quote things or remember things. And this guy said to me, you know what, man, really, it all just came from the Bible. Anything that's inspiring or thoughtful or encouraging or hope giving, it really all Jesus said it first, really. Yeah. It's all. So I say that just to say this, man, the greatest source of hope or inspiration or encouragement that I've ever known, is God's love and his word. And so I can appreciate, I hope that people value the art of encouragement. I hope they read it and they're touched by it. But more than anything, I hope it just reflects the love of Christ and brings people closer to Jesus. And if you're listening, whether you know him or not, he knows you. Yeah. And I hope that as you read this book, you feel that.
I love it, man. That is so good. And you will, if you're listening. So first of all, everyone that's listening right now, stop what you're doing, exit the podcast app or the YouTube channel, head over to Amazon or wherever you buy books and make sure right now you buy, or just go in the show notes, click the link. Whitney from Wisconsin will put it in there. We'll make sure that you got it, and buy The Art of Encouragement. It is going to encourage you. I need all thousands of you that are listening to this right now, go ahead and do that right now. Carlitos is asking you to do that for my friend Jordan. That's first of all. Second of all, I want to end with a random conversation that I didn't think I was going to be having with you until I read some of the endorsements that were in your book. And you got an endorsement from Jim Rome. And what that did for me was it flew me back 20 years to when I used to listen to the Jim Rome show when I was living in Fresno, California. And like, he was legitimately, I was addicted. I would listen to that guy every single day. How did you get Jim Rome? How do you know Jim Rome? This is crazy.
Man, shout out, Eric Wood is how I know Jim Rome. But, Eric connected us, I think initially, but, yeah, man, Jim is one of those guys, kind of like we talked about earlier, like, taking responsibility outside the lane of your authority.
Yeah.
Like, bro, Jim goes way out of his way to encourage me. And next to you, he probably was the fastest response on endorsement. But cool. Here's okay. I'm so glad you asked this. You want to talk about a supernatural way to encourage people. Okay. So I'm like you. I grew up watching Rome is Burning, ESPN every day after school, listen to Jim. Fell in love with his content. He's funny and he's got a unique way of kind of pushing people's buttons. And like, I just love Jim. And so here I am, man. I'm now a grown man 20 years later. And Jim is actually doing some speaking work, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do that. I don't know. By the way, if you don't know Jim, the guy we're talking about right now is the second highest paid sportscaster broadcaster in the United States of America. So Tom Brady would be one on his new deal. Jim Rome is number 2. So if you're like, who are these guys talking about? We're talking about a guy who's done what he's done at the very highest level for a long time.
Yes.
So, but he wants to get into the speaking space and do more speaking. And so Jim is asking me questions about speaking. Okay. Now here's what I think. I think Jim is genuine. I think he genuinely wants to gain an edge and get some insight. I think he's genuine. I think he probably also understands that as he asks me those questions, there's a dynamic at play where I'm feeling the love and the support and the encouragement. And really what he's doing is he's saying, hey man, I see you. You have value to offer. And so, man, I want to have a conversation with you and help you to feel valuable. He's never said that to me.
Sure.
His questions have felt very genuine. We've grown an amazing relationship. Man, Jim Rome is the real deal. But he's got he's got the same thing you have, Carlos, is a humble spirit. There's a humility that says, I have something to learn. I can learn from you. I can learn from every person that I interact with in any room that I'm in. And actually, I think when you have that spirit, you also encourage people in a really
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah, so anyways, love Jim.
I love that. No, I love that. I used to probably, maybe even before you were listening to Jim Rome, I'm a little bit older than you. He used to, in order to communicate to him, you could either call the show or you could fax him. And I used to legitimately fax the Jim Rome show. And he once every few months, my fax would go through, and it was like, he was like, Carlos from Fresno says that, and I was always talking about the Atlanta Falcons and, all these things, but it's just so cool when I saw his name. And I love that. I love what you said about him. That's something I never would have known. Just kind of how outside of his lane, he's encouraging people. That's really cool.
Well, I actually think it's a hallmark trait of people who are at the top of their game. I think it's really hard to get to the top of anything if you don't have a foundational understanding that you have something more to learn, and you don't lead with at least a little bit of humility. So,
so good.
Yeah, man, Jim's got it. You've got it. And I can just imagine those conversations from back in the day. Carlos Whittaker, Atlanta.
Yeah, hey, Carlos.
He's got the best voice, man.
He does, man.
We'll send him this clip. God bless you, Jim. Love you, Jim.
Hey, listen, thanks for being on here, man. I just appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. And I hope and pray that this book touches thousands and thousands and thousands of people, because I think that it is a worthy cause that people need to lean into, is the art of encouragement.
Well, bro, thank you, man. Thanks for your friendship and your support. Thanks for your endorsement. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for being one of the people in my life, man, that helps me to feel valued and known. Man,
absolutely, dude.
Just appreciate you so much, man. Thanks for being in my life.
I mean, come on. Here I was trying to interview Jordan, and he's just encouraging me. Carlos, let me tell you what makes you such a great encourager. What makes you so effective? No, Jordan, tell us something else besides telling me how awesome I am. He just is so encouraging. I don't feel like I'm awesome, and whenever I'm done hanging out with Jordan, I feel like I'm awesome. Probably more awesome than I really am. But I want us to sit on some things for a second. Remember, I mean, some of these things, right? If you want to be more connected, start connecting. If you want to be more encouraged, start encouraging. Right? It's so good. Life can be really difficult and dark and disappointing, and everybody around us is in need of encouragement. Thank you, Jordan. Hey, please, everybody, go pick up a copy of his book, The Art of Encouragement. It is out for pre-sale right now. If it is after July 24th when you're listening to this, just go buy it because it's not pre-order anymore. You can start reading it right now. Thank you, Jordan. And thank you for the little Jim Rome convo at the end. I just love it. I love it. I love you, Jordan. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Carlos Whittaker podcast. Hey, Dr. Delight, hit it. All right, friends, that is it. Hey, listen, please, if you haven't pre-ordered my new book, Reconnected, please go do that right now. And you can get a free journaling guide. That's right. I will help you go through it. You get a journaling guide. You can read the first chapter right now. Hey, put the needle on the record and the drum beat goes like this. Now, that's right. If you pre-order right now, you get the journaling guide, only if you pre-order, which is 42 pages of extra content. Okay. That's going to help guide you through the book. You will also get the intro in the first chapter right now. And if you pre-order, you're going to get the biggest pre-order bonus that I've ever given away in a few weeks. Trust me, you're not going to want to forget, because here's the thing, you're going to be like, okay, I'll just wait until I hear what the next one is, but then you're going to forget to pre-order and you're not going to get it. And this one you're going to want to get. All right, hey, I'll talk to you guys next week. See ya in Tanzania. Oh my gosh, that rhymed. See ya in Tanzania. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. See ya in Tanzania. See ya in Tanzania. I said, see ya in Tanzania. I said, see ya. I said, see ya. I said, see ya in Tanzania. Here we go. Hey.